Hey everyone, welcome back to Let's Talk. My name is John, and today here on the channel we're going to be talking about 1996's horror comedy, The Frighteners, and its 4K Blu-ray from Turbine Studios. So The Frighteners was originally released back in 1996. It is directed by and co-written by Peter Jackson, the legendary director who brought us the Lord of the Rings films, the Hobbit trilogy, and of course Brain Dead or Dead Alive, whatever you want to call it. But for me personally, his standout film and my favorite film that he ever directed was The Frighteners. This is a horror comedy originally released back in 1996, filmed in New Zealand, where Peter Jackson is from and where he likes to film a lot of his movies, including the Lord of the Rings trilogies. You know, the two of them, The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings trilogies. And this one stars Michael J. Fox, which I always thought was pretty random that Michael J. Fox pops up in here as the star of this movie, but it's actually executively produced by Robert Zemeckis, famously worked with Michael J. Fox on the Back to the Future trilogy. And just like the Back to the Future trilogy, this movie features a ton of special effects, actually the most special effects at the time in film, and that's why the special effects were done by Peter Jackson's own effects studio that was located in New Zealand, so they would actually kind of work on the effects as they were still filming the movie, kind of cut some stuff together. They were able to do it since everything was really done on location, edited there in New Zealand. Even though this film was distributed by Universal Studios, it was actually really just produced there in New Zealand with Peter Jackson being completely hands-on with this movie. They put a lot of trust in them. That was really Robert Zemeckis pulling for this whole film to work out. Originally, this movie was supposed to just be another Tales of the Crypt spin-off movie. It wasn't even supposed to be anything crazy. It was originally going to be directed by Robert Zemeckis, but he loved the script so much and he loved what Peter Jackson was doing that he really wanted Peter Jackson to make this movie with Michael J. Fox and plenty of other great actors who pop up in this movie. Because we haven't gotten into the plot yet, this movie follows around Frank Bannister, a man who's lost his wife over the past few years in a tragic car accident. We find out a little bit more about that car accident as the movie goes on. But after that tragic event, he can see ghosts. And he doesn't use this for really good. He actually uses this to rip off people in the town that he lives in. You know, anytime they have some sort of paranormal experience. And it turns out that the ghosts that he's buddies with, they're the ones causing this. He comes in, cleans it up, all of them working together in this big scam, really to get money, even though he's struggling with money, mainly because he's a huge raging alcoholic, which he was before his wife died, but once his wife died, it just made his alcoholism 10 times worse. Before his wife passed away, he was an architect, and he was working on their dream home. He still lives in this dream home, by the way, even though it's only about halfway done. He never bothered to finish it once, his wife passed away, so he's been living there. He's just kind of barely getting by. He's got a ton of debt that he's got to work through. But at this exact same time, the Grim Reaper appears, and he's basically killing a bunch of people in this town, making it look like it's heart attacks, but there's a little bit of suspicion that there's more to it. So the town brings in an FBI agent played by Jeffrey Combs, who many people might know from Reanimator, and this guy does a phenomenal job in this movie.
Power of the mind is absolute.
My God, he is perfectly cast. Obviously, everybody in this movie is playing their characters very over the top. The tone of this movie is very original. It is an extreme horror comedy, but it really floats that line perfect. Things are a little bit scary while also being very funny. The ghosts that are palling around with Michael J. Fox are absolutely hysterical. They have some of the best lines throughout the entire movie.
Tell you something, Frank. It ain't nothing worse than a bunch of pissed off brothers that's already dead.
And, everything is really very lighthearted, which is good when you're dealing with the subject matter of death, but there is also some brutal stuff in this movie. There's a mass killing that takes place. We see it in flashbacks, but the mass killing was done by Jake Busey, and if you bring in Jake Busey, you just know that he's going to be acting his ass off over the top, just like his father, Gary Busey. Overacting must just be a thing in the family, but this is my favorite Jake Busey performance. Jake Busey, he doesn't really pop up too much, but when he does, he's actually very memorable, and he is great in this movie. Also, Dee Wallace is in this. Dee Wallace plays the older version of a character who was palling around with Jake Busey back in the day when this mass killing took place, but now she's kind of a shell of her old self. She's kind of basically been cleared for what happened, even though she was there that day, but they kind of put it on Jake Busey and not on her, so now she's kind of really just living with her mother, and she's just not the same person. But once these murders start happening in this town again, a lot of suspicion starts to come up about Jake Busey's character and Dee Wallace's character from the past. And that is really what this movie is about, exploring what these killings are going on and how does Frank Bannister tie into all this. So it actually turns out to be a great mystery movie on top of being just a fun, lighthearted horror comedy. And for me, I think this is one of the best horror comedies to ever exist. It's not my favorite. I still think that Return of the Living Dead is probably one of the best horror comedies, or is the best horror comedy to ever come out. But this is very much up there for me, and I have a lot of nostalgia for the Frighteners. This is one of those ones where physical media really showed me this movie. I just remember the horror section and the VHS tape just calling out to me. I used to rent this from Blockbuster all the time when I was a kid. I never bought it on VHS. I would just rent it all the time. I think everybody has one of those Blockbuster memories where they would walk into Blockbuster and there was just always a certain movie that you would rent over and over and over again. And for me, that was The Frighteners. I rented this movie so much, and it's so weird because this movie has basically been long since forgotten. It wasn't a box office hit. It only made $29 million at the box office, and for a movie with a budget of $26 million, it really wasn't a success, and I think that you can blame that on horror films at the time. In 1996, horror films were just not that big. You know, they were kind of in a shaky ground area. You know, they were really more cult-following horror films. We hadn't had a big success. That would all change in December of 1996 when Scream came out, but before Scream, horror was really struggling, and I feel like The Frighteners, unfortunately, just came in a little bit too early. Had this been released a year later in 1997, I think it would have been a bigger hit. But luckily, this one has developed a pretty big cult following, including myself. People do love this movie, and if more people watch this movie, I can promise you, you are going to love it. It is enjoyable from beginning to end. Not a minute is wasted. There's two cuts of this film. There's a theatrical cut that's about 110 minutes long, and then there's a director's cut, which is the cut I would recommend, and that is about 122 minutes long, so just over 2 hours. Peter Jackson does love his director's cuts. Obviously, he's made some of the best extended editions when it comes to The Lord of the Rings, and I think he nailed it again with the director's cut of this film. So if you have a choice and you can watch the director's cut, that's the one I highly recommend. I think it fleshes it out a little bit more, and you get a little bit more laughs in there, which I really appreciate. So anyway, even if you haven't seen The Frighteners, I can highly recommend it. But if you do want to see The Frighteners in its all-time great glory, I can recommend this 4K Blu-ray that we're going to talk about right now. But before we dive into that, if you are a fan of 4K Blu-ray reviews, movie reviews, lists, podcasts, and shorts, we try to do them all here on the channel. Nothing would help this channel out more than by you guys just simply liking this video and subscribing to the channel.
Freeze!
So this Frighteners 4K Blu-ray from Turbine Studios, a German company, was only released originally in Germany from Turbine Studios, is one of the best 4K Blu-rays I have ever gotten. This is easily in my top 10 all time, and this came from a recommendation from Frank Rodriguez, one of the supporters here on the channel. He told me about this. He said, listen, it is one of the greatest 4Ks out there as far as visuals and audio go. And when it came back into stock at Diabolic DVD, which for anyone who lives outside of the US or in the US and wants imports, Diabolic DVD is the best for it. Again, that was a recommendation from Frank Rodriguez. I had never used them before. They don't overcharge for import fees. Now, this is a German released 4K. They only had 10 of these in stock when I went on the website. I was able to scoop it up. It does come in two different versions. You can get this in this version, which is the original artwork, kind of looks like the VHS, that's why I opted for it, or you can go for the newer artwork, but they swap out. So if you get this version, then the newer artwork is on the inside, and then the reverse of it. So if you were to get the new artwork version, the inside artwork would be this. So they actually released two versions of this. It goes for about $89.99, which is actually a steal for this because, again, this is one of the greatest 4K Blu-rays I have ever gotten. This is a true collector's edition. When you think collector's edition, you think of something like this. I mean, this is just loaded up with everything you can imagine. I mean, look at this. This thing, the picture didn't even do it justice. I had no idea how big this was. It is heavy. Holding it like this is actually making my arm hurt. That's how much is in there. And I used to have the 2011 Blu-ray, and I always thought this Blu-ray was pretty good because it does have both cuts of the film, and it does have that 4.5-hour documentary that was originally released on Laserdisc back in the day, and the documentary is also in here. So that Laserdisc, they were talking about that over and over again in the documentary. Laserdisc was a big deal back in the 90s. Really, that was the original 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray. That was there for the collectors, fans of the film. VHSs didn't have extras on them back in the day. This is a little bit before DVD, but Laserdisc did, and Laserdisc really got spoiled. They were the first ones to get both cuts of the film and everything. If you got this on VHS, you were just seeing the theatrical cut. But this is the best of everything. If you guys go around here, you'll have beautiful artwork. You get a newspaper on the back. I mean, my God. And then when you pop it open, there is so much in here. You get Frank Banish's card, a bunch of postcards from the town, really nice reading material with really nice paper stock. I mean, like, it's like a semi-gloss. It's thick. It's not easy to rip. It's not going to wear out over time. They really sprung for nice paper stock. You also get 2 posters, which is amazing. If you're a posters fan, you get 2 of them in here. Really, again, nice paper stock, not easy to rip, something that's going to actually stand the test of time. Not forever, but longer than what you would get from like a Walmart poster, something cheap there. Then you go in, and like I said, if you get this is what the exterior box would look like if you get the other version, and then this interior box would look like this if you get the other version. So this is a nice like slip cover. You slide it out, and then underneath you get this, which is really nice. There's D. Wallace right there. You pop it open. It's a 6-disc set. I mean, to get 6 discs is just unbelievable. You get 2 4K discs, you get the director's cut and the theatrical cut, and beautiful, stunning 4K Blu-ray with Dolby Vision, HDR10, Dolby Atmos, and a Dolby True HD 7.1 in English and in German. There's other languages, but they don't come with Dolby Atmos tracks, and the Dolby Atmos tracks are absolutely stunning. Reference quality Dolby Atmos tracks. There is actually a trailer for Dolby Atmos before this. That's how much they're promoting this Dolby Atmos track, and they knew what they got, and it is truly one of the best Dolby Atmos tracks out there. I mean, this movie is filled with plenty of great sound effects, an amazing Danny Elfman score, which we didn't bring up in the original review, but it is all just done incredibly when it comes to audio and the visuals. Now, this Blu-ray that I have from 2011 is really, really good. I was very impressed. I had no reason to upgrade that. It's the 15th anniversary edition from 2011. I absolutely love that Blu-ray. This 4K blows that Blu-ray out of the water. That Blu-ray is absolute garbage compared to this 4K. I mean, my God, even the 2 Blu-rays, because not only do you get the director's cut, the theatrical cut in 4K, but you also get them in Blu-ray, and then you also get another 5th disc, and then that 6th disc is going to be that 4.5-hour documentary, and I mean, that documentary really sells itself. Like I said, I kind of had it on that previous Blu-ray, but it was kind of separated into featurettes, and they pull out the storyboard section. There's like a long 45-minute storyboard section that you can watch separately on the Blu-ray, but on the 4K, it's all edited together like in its original form that was released on the Laserdisc. And that 4.5-hour documentary is amazing. You're going to find out everything you want to know about the making of this movie. No stone is left unturned. One thing that I found absolutely fascinating is that they needed 1.6 terabytes of storage to make this movie's special effects in the studio, because it's Peter Jackson's own studio there in New Zealand, and that was a lot for them. And they were showing the room where all the memory is, and just to think about the amount of area you needed to get 1.6 terabytes of memory, they needed the entire facility for it, whereas now you can buy, 2 terabytes and just put it on your Xbox Series X or on your computer. It's incredible what we've come to as far as memory goes and what we take for granted. The way they had to make these movies, they're talking about 10 gigabytes of special effects shots. I'm just thinking that's insane. A brand new game, Madden, has like a 50 gigabyte download just for the game itself. Call of Duty has like 100 gigabytes. That's just how much memory has expanded since 1995 when they were working on this, or 1996 when it was released. But it's just amazing. I found all that stuff fascinating, all the special effects. I mean, this is one of the greatest making of documentaries I've ever seen. It's right up there with the Blade Runner making of documentary, or Heart of Darkness. Heart of Darkness is more like a film, but this is just amazing. Peter Jackson did it himself, and you really care about Peter Jackson, man. Those are one of the guys you root for. He just seems like such a genuinely nice guy, loves film. Those are always the directors I pull for, him and Ernest Dickerson. They just seem like genuinely nice people, and those are the people I always root for. People who seem like they're good people, they're not fake, they're not putting on airs, they just seem like that's who they are. They're just good people. And that's why I always pull for Peter Jackson. Obviously, he doesn't need me pulling for him, but I absolutely do. I just love the guy. Seems like just such a fascinating, cool guy, someone you want to have a beer with, and he seems like he'd want to have a beer with you, so I really do appreciate that. That entire making of documentary is absolutely incredible, but I don't want to sell those visuals short. Dolby Vision, HDR10, this looks stunning. 10 out of 10 visuals. My God. Again, reference quality visuals. This movie has no business looking this good. It's a forgotten classic. Not many people probably even remember how good The Frighteners is, or even knows this movie exists, and it is one of the best looking 4Ks I have ever seen. I had my wife sit next to me, who doesn't even care really about how the 4Ks look, and she's like, this looks like it was just filmed, and it really does. Now, given it's the 1990s, so the source material is definitely in a lot better shape, and Peter Jackson and his crew seem like they would take care of the source material, so it's not anything you have to really worry about, but I just cannot believe how good visually it is. The original Blu-ray from 2011, it just looked entirely cool throughout, like as far as the color temperature goes. You know, the blues were very vibrant. But now, as it goes scene to scene, you know, certain scenes are cooler than others. Certain scenes, especially the flashback scenes with Jake Busey and the younger Dee Wallace's character, like that stuff is very warm, and they're editing it so well between those scenes and the same building being like dead and abandoned now, and those scenes are very cool. So we're cutting between the warm colored scenes and the cool colored scenes. You know, a Blu-ray might have a hard time handling that, but this 4K has no issue at all. It just looks stunning. I mean, your eyes are watering at how beautiful this 4K is. I cannot sell this entire package short. It is absolutely a 10 out of 10. If you have the money and you can spring for it, this is the definitive edition of the Frighteners. It's a must-own for any collector out there. If you haven't seen the Frighteners, I still want you to see the movie, even if you can't get this beautiful 4K Blu-ray set. Like I said, this is a 10 out of 10, but I still think if you can see the Frighteners any which way you can, even on streaming, it's a movie that I feel like has gotten lost to the test of time, and it really shouldn't, because it is a fantastic film. So I can highly recommend this, and I am just so happy with my purchase of this. It is one of my cornerstones of my collection now. It is definitely something that I highly recommend, and something I think if you do end up picking up, you're going to be just as blown away as I was. But anyway, guys, let's dive into this digital code giveaway. That's right, folks. It's time for our digital code giveaway. On every single video we put out on Friday, we will ask you guys 2 digital code giveaway questions. All you have to do is answer one of those questions in the comments section below, and then you come back to this video that we do every single Monday. We put your name on a magic wheel, we spin that bad boy 2 times, the names it lands on, those are your 2 digital code giveaway winners, and they have their choice of the digital codes that you have seen on your screen before you today. And this week I asked you guys very simply, what do you think? Is The Nightmare Before Christmas a Christmas movie or a Halloween movie? And we got a lot of great answers, a lot of stuff that actually kind of opened my eyes. John Doe Juggalo kind of actually really cracked the code for me. He's like, it's called The Nightmare Before Christmas, defending it as a Halloween film, and that makes a lot of sense in the world. I've kind of always fell into the fact, though, that it's both. It starts out in Halloween at the very beginning, and then it ends up becoming a Christmas film. Jack wants to give Halloween Town its own form of Christmas. You know, he's kind of just stuck in a rut doing the same thing over and over again. It's very relatable. You know, he kind of conquered Halloween Town. He wants a new challenge, and Christmas is that new challenge, and that's what it becomes. It becomes more of a Christmas fantasy film, obviously with horror elements mixed in there, but I really think no matter which way you choose to go, if you want to watch it around Halloween, you want to watch it around Christmas, I truly believe that it is both. So the correct answer is both, and honestly, everybody wins on this answer. Whatever you answered is the correct answer. I just really appreciated a lot of people's different insights on it. That really was awesome. Actually, some of you guys really did open my eyes to certain aspects of this movie, so I really do appreciate that. And then the second question was, what is your favorite animated film of the 1990s? And this was another cool answer, because we got plenty of great ones in there. I mean, 3 people picked Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, which is awesome. I didn't realize how many people actually really appreciated that movie. And same thing with Cats Don't Dance. 3 people picked Cats Don't Dance, and I found out from 2 of you guys that Cats Don't Dance is getting a brand new Blu-ray scan coming out. So that is awesome news as well, and I really want to thank you guys for letting me know that so I can eventually grab that. I don't have that in my collection, and I would love to have it. And then everybody who picked The Lion King, I actually 100% agree with you that that is the best animated film of the 1990s. That's also my favorite animated film of all time. I didn't see this in theaters in 1994. I was only 2 years old, but I have a very distinct memory of when this came to VHS. Actually, one of my earliest memories is seeing The Lion King with my mom on VHS in about 1995, because my brother was very young at the time. And that movie ever since then has meant the world to me. Every time I watch it, I still get choked up seeing that son of a bitch Scar let Mufasa go into that crowd of animals. Back in 1995, 3-year-old John couldn't handle that. That was his first experience with death, and it hurt then and it hurts now. So The Lion King would be my personal choice of the 1990s animated films, but every answer that you guys gave was perfect. I really do appreciate it, and I just want to thank all you guys so much. And because I'm just going to keep rambling, let's spin this magic wheel and see who this week's 2 lucky winners are. First wheel spin coming up. TG at Def 86. Alright, we're going to remove your name. Spin again.
Taking the elevator, going up. Got a lot of ground to cover, and I'm in love with the good life. Can't give it up. Make it to the top, keep climbing. I wanna live it up. On the good life. I'm coming up, I'm coming up.
And wahoo! 120. And I'm going to have to read the first winner because this one's a little tough. I think it's them TGDUFE 486. So THEM TGDUFE 486. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. If it's supposed to be pronounced in one long word, I'm missing it. I'm sorry, buddy, but congratulations, you are our first winner. And then the second winner was Wahoo 120. So congratulations, Wahoo. And to both you guys, congratulations. Make sure you reach out to me at letstalkentmt@gmail.com, or you can always reach out to me at X/Twitter, whatever the hell you want to call it. Facebook or Instagram, just DM me and let me know which of the digital codes you want. As long as the other winner doesn't take it, that digital code is all yours. And I just want to thank all of you before we get out of here today for entering into this digital code giveaway, and everyone who came to Saturday's live $5 Super Chat giveaway. We actually really had a good time. Had so many great people there. A couple of the winners actually chose not to even take their Blu-rays, and I had people say that they wanted to donate their Blu-rays for future giveaways, and I just want to say it really means the world to me. You guys really are the best here in this community. I just love you guys so much. It feels like we have really genuine good people here who kind of communicate with this channel and kind of hang out with us, and that's really awesome. You know, you always hear about the internet being such a toxic place with some of the worst people, but I also say that some of the best people are on the internet as well. And really, somehow, we have found some of the greatest people on this planet come to this channel. And I'm telling you, it really blew me away with those kinds of messages and people just saying, oh, no, give it to somebody else, or I'd like to donate my Blu-rays or 4Ks for future giveaways. I mean, that really is awesome. Thank you guys all so much. I really am a very lucky person to have people who help this channel out like that. You don't hear about that much, and I just want to let you guys all know that it really does mean the world to me. I might not sound like the most thankful person. It's very hard to sound very gracious, but I truly am. Thank you guys all so much. Really appreciate it. And if you guys want to continue to support the channel, it's very simple. Just hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, get out in those streets, and just tell your friends about us. And then we'll be seeing you around.